My name is Mark Thompson, and I'm 37 years old. I've spent the last 15 years building a reputation as the guy you call when something breaks. Plumbing, electrical, HVAC, if it's in your house and it stops working, I can fix it. The work keeps me moving across the city, toolbox rattling in the back of my truck. Hands perpetually stained with grease that won't wash off completely no matter how hard I scrub. I never minded the dirt under my fingernails or the ache in my back at the end of a 12-hour day. Every busted pipe, every faulty circuit breaker, every emergency call at 7 in the evening meant money in the bank. Money for the mortgage on our 2-story colonial in Westbrook. Money for Emily's car payment. Money for the future we were supposedly building together. Emily, my wife of 5 years. When I met her at Jim's barbecue 7 years ago, she was wearing a yellow sundress and laughing at something her friend had said. The sound drew me like a magnet. She had this way of tilting her head when she listened to you talk. Like whatever you were saying was the most important thing in the world. She made me feel seen in a way I'd never experienced before. We were married within 2 years. She'd been a receptionist at a dental office when we met, but after the wedding, we agreed she'd stay home. Just until we figure things out, she'd said. That was 5 years ago. The dental office had long since hired someone else, and Emily had settled into a routine of yoga classes, lunch with her friend Sarah, and managing what she called the household. We didn't have kids yet, someday, we always said. When things were more stable, when I had more saved, when the timing was right, our life had a comfortable rhythm to it. Friday nights, we'd order Chinese and watch whatever series we were working through on Netflix. Sunday mornings meant coffee and the newspaper, her reading the lifestyle section while I checked the sports scores. We grocery shopped together on Saturdays, made love maybe twice a week, and took a vacation to the beach every summer. Nothing spectacular, but it was ours. Lately, though, something had shifted. Emily spent more time on her phone, angling the screen away when I walked by. She'd started going out more. Errands that took 3 hours. Visits to Sarah that stretched into the evening. When I asked about her day, her answers were vague, distracted. She'd developed a new habit of showering as soon as she came home, even if she'd just been at the mall. You okay? I asked her last week over dinner. She looked up from pushing her chicken around her plate. Of course, why? She replied, her voice a bit too bright. You seem distant, I observed. I'm fine. Mark, just tired, she answered, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. I told myself I was overthinking it. Marriage had its ups and downs. Everyone said so. Maybe she was bored. Maybe she needed a hobby or a part-time job. Maybe I should plan something special for our anniversary next month. My phone buzzed on the kitchen counter, breaking me from my thoughts. A repair job at the Marriott downtown. Water pressure issues in their kitchen. I've got a call, I said, grabbing my jacket. Big job at the hotel. Probably be gone most of the afternoon. Emily barely looked up from her phone. Okay, have a good day, she murmured absently. I hesitated at the door, watching her. She was completely absorbed in whatever was on her screen, thumb scrolling steadily. The morning light caught her hair, reminding me why I'd fallen for her in the first place. I pushed down the unease in my chest and headed out. I had no idea that stepping into that hotel lobby would be the last moment I'd ever trust my wife again. The Marriott's kitchen was a disaster. The sous chef led me through the prep area, pointing out the problematic stations where water barely trickled from the faucets. The main valve regulator had blown, probably from age and constant use. It would take me at least 2 hours to replace it properly. I'd been working for about 45 minutes, wrestling with a particularly stubborn connection, when I decided I needed a smoke break. My back was killing me from crouching under the industrial sink, and my hands were numb from gripping the wrench. I walked out through the loading dock to the alley beside the hotel. The cigarette felt good, the nicotine hitting my system as I leaned against the brick wall. I was thinking about nothing in particular. Maybe what to grab for lunch. Maybe whether the Ravens had a shot this season, when a black BMW pulled up to the hotel's side entrance. The passenger door opened, and Emily stepped out. My cigarette froze halfway to my mouth. She was wearing the black dress I'd bought her for Christmas, the one she said was too fancy for regular occasions. Her hair was done up, and she was laughing at something the driver had said. The driver emerged, Tall, maybe 6'2", with the kind of build that came from living at the gym. Early 30s, perfect haircut, wearing a fitted polo that showed off arms that had never done real work. He walked around the car and took Emily's hand. My Emily's hand. She leaned into him as they walked, her body molding against his side like it belonged there. He said something that made her laugh again. That genuine, throaty laugh I hadn't heard in months. His hand moved to the small of her back, possessive and familiar, guiding her toward the hotel entrance. They disappeared through the automatic doors. The cigarette burned down to my fingers, the pain snapping me back to reality. I dropped it, my hands shaking as I crushed it under my boot. My mind was racing, trying to process what I'd just seen. Maybe it wasn't what it looked like. Maybe he was a cousin I'd never met. Maybe they were planning a surprise party for me. No, I knew my wife. I knew how she moved, how she acted around me versus strangers. That wasn't the body language of cousins or party planners. That was intimacy. That was familiarity. That was an affair. I wanted to follow them. Every instinct screamed at me to charge into that hotel, find whatever room they were heading to, and drag her out by her hair. To beat that pretty boy until his face matched the brick wall behind me. But something deeper, something colder, held me back. If I confronted her now, she'd lie. She'd gaslight me, tell me I was seeing things, that I was jealous and paranoid. Without proof, it would be my word against hers. And even if she admitted it, she'd cry, beg forgiveness, promise it would never happen again. She'd manipulate me like she'd apparently been manipulating me for God knows how long. No, I needed to be smarter than that. I went back inside and finished the job. My hands moved automatically, muscle memory taking over while my mind churned. Every turn of the wrench, every fitted connection was mechanical, detached. The sous chef thanked me when I was done. I don't remember what I said back. The drive home was a blur. The house was empty, of course. A note on the kitchen counter, her handwriting cheerful and casual. At Sarah's for the day. Be back for dinner. Love you. The lie was so easy for her. How many times had she left me notes like this? How many times had Sarah's house been code for a hotel room with Mr. BMW? I sat at the kitchen table staring at that note. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I didn't break anything. Instead, I made a decision. She thought she was clever. She thought I was too trusting, too simple to ever figure it out. She thought wrong. I wouldn't confront her. I wouldn't give her the chance to prepare her defense or spin her web of lies. I would gather evidence, protect what was mine, and when the time came, I would destroy her. She thought I'd never find out. But she had no idea I was about to become her worst nightmare. The next morning, I called Tommy Bennett. Tommy was a client whose bathroom I'd remodeled last year, and during the job, he'd mentioned his divorce. Caught my ex with her personal trainer, he'd said. Thank God I hired Linda first. She saved my ass in court. Linda Carver worked out of a small office above a nail salon, the kind of place you'd walk past 100 times without noticing. She was in her 50s, gray hair pulled back in a no-nonsense bun, wearing a blazer that had seen better days. Her handshake was firm, her eyes sharp. Tommy said you do good work, she said, gesturing for me to sit. I need proof my wife is cheating, I stated flatly. No point dancing around it. She pulled out a legal pad. Tell me everything, she instructed. I did. The distance, the phone habits, the long absences, and finally, yesterday at the Marriott. Linda took notes without judgment, occasionally asking for clarification. When I finished, she leaned back in her chair. The guy from yesterday, can you describe him? She asked. I did my best. Linda pulled out a tablet and after some searching showed me a Facebook page. Elite Fitness. There he was in the staff photos. Tyler Brennan, personal trainer. That's him, I confirmed, my jaw clenching. I need everything, I told her. Photos, videos, dates, times, locations. I need proof that will hold up in court. That's what I do, Linda replied confidently. Give me 3 weeks. Those 3 weeks were the longest of my life. I went to work, came home, ate dinner with Emily, watched TV with Emily, slept next to Emily. Every normal moment was agony, but I played my part perfectly. You seem happy lately, Emily observed one night, curled against me on the couch. Just grateful, I responded, kissing the top of her head. Her hair smelled like unfamiliar shampoo. Grateful for what we have. She snuggled closer. Me too, she murmured contentedly. Linda sent updates through an encrypted app. Tuesday, Emily met Tyler at a Comfort Inn off Route 40, stayed 2 hours. Thursday, lunch at an Italian place downtown, lots of touching across the table. Saturday, shopping together at the mall, Tyler buying her lingerie at Victoria's Secret. The photos were clear, time-stamped, undeniable. Emily laughing at something Tyler said, Tyler's hand on her ass as they walked. The two of them kissing in his car. Each image was a knife, but I looked at them all. I needed the anger. It kept me sharp. Meanwhile, I was taking my own precautions. I opened a new bank account at a different bank, slowly transferring money from our joint savings. Not enough for Emily to notice, but enough to matter. I photographed every document in our filing cabinet. Mortgage papers, insurance policies, investment statements. I made copies of her credit card statements, highlighting charges at hotels, restaurants, lingerie stores. One evening, Emily came home late, claiming traffic from Sarah's house. But I could smell him on her, that aggressive cologne that guys like Tyler wore to announce their presence. She went straight to the shower, humming to herself. I sat on our bed, listening to the water run, and felt nothing. The man who would have been devastated by this betrayal was gone. In his place was someone harder, someone patient. 3 weeks to the day after our first meeting, Linda handed me a thick manila envelope. "It's all here," she announced. 53 photos, 4 videos of them entering and leaving hotels, receipts, even some text messages I was able to capture through technical means you don't need to know about. I flipped through it in my truck. The evidence spanned 4 months. The affair had been going on for 4 months. While I was fixing other people's houses, Tyler was in mine, metaphorically speaking. While I was working 12-hour days, Emily was playing housewife to her side piece. I looked at the final photo. Emily and Tyler at a hotel room door, her hand on his chest, both of them smiling like they didn't have a care in the world. I had all the proof I needed. Now I just needed a lawyer ruthless enough to help me destroy her. Richard Sawyer's office occupied the top floor of a building downtown, all glass and leather and intimidation. He was exactly what I'd hoped for, mid-50s, expensive suit, with the cold eyes of someone who'd destroyed countless lives in courtrooms and slept fine afterward. "Tommy Bennett referred me," I said, settling into the chair across from his massive desk. "Tommy's case was particularly satisfying?" Sawyer replied with a slight smile. His ex-wife ended up living in a studio apartment, working 2 jobs. "What can I do for you, Mr. Thompson?" I handed him Linda's envelope. He spent 30 minutes reviewing everything, occasionally making notes on a legal pad. When he finished, he leaned back with the expression of a shark that had just detected blood. "This is comprehensive," he observed. "Adultery, deception, financial misconduct. She's been using your money to fund her affair. The lingerie, the hotel rooms, the dinners. We can argue abandonment of marital duties. In Maryland, with evidence this solid, she'll get nothing." "I want more than nothing," I stated firmly. "I want her to understand what she's lost." Sawyer's smile widened. "We'll serve her on your terms. Maximum impact." "When were you thinking?" he asked. "Friday night. It's movie night, our weekly tradition. She'll be relaxed, comfortable, not expecting anything," I explained. "Perfect. The process server will arrive around 8. "You'll be there?" he confirmed. "I wouldn't miss it," I assured him. We spent another hour strategizing. Asset protection, temporary support obligations, custody issues if children were involved. Everything was planned down to the smallest detail. I was driving home when my phone rang. "Emily." "Hey, babe," she said excitedly. "Can you come home? I have something to tell you." "On my way," I responded, maintaining my usual tone. She was waiting in the living room, practically glowing. The moment I walked in, she jumped up and threw her arms around me. "Mark, I'm pregnant," she announced breathlessly. The words hit me like a sledgehammer. I pulled back to look at her face. She was crying, but they seemed like happy tears. She pulled a pregnancy test from behind her back, showing me the 2 pink lines. "We're going to be parents," she continued, taking my hand and placing it on her still flat stomach. "Isn't it amazing?" My mind was calculating rapidly. When was the last time we'd had intimacy? 3 weeks ago? 4? How long had she been sleeping with Tyler? 4 months. The timing made it impossible to determine paternity without a test. This is, wow, I managed, forcing a smile. When did you find out? Just today, she exclaimed. I've been feeling sick in the mornings, so I bought a test. I wanted to surprise you. I hugged her again to hide my face. Was this planned? Did she know I was onto her? Was this her insurance policy? Get pregnant? Lock me down either way? Or was she genuinely clueless about whose baby it might be? We should celebrate, I suggested, pulling away. Let me get some champagne, or wait, you can't drink. Sparkling cider? That's sweet, she replied, beaming. I'm going to call Sarah. While she chatted excitedly on the phone, I texted Sawyer. She's pregnant. What is this change? His response came quickly. Nothing. Paternity established after birth. If not yours, strengthens abandonment case. If yours, we address custody. Stay the course. I watched Emily from the kitchen, animated and happy, one hand on her stomach already. She was either the world's best actress or completely delusional. Either way, it didn't matter. She thought a baby would save her. She had no idea it was already too late. Friday came with the weight of finality. I went through my workday in a controlled haze, fixing a garbage disposal in Riverside, replacing a water heater in Canton. Normal jobs for what would be the last normal day of my marriage. I got home at 6. Emily had made lasagna, my favorite. She was humming in the kitchen, wearing an apron over her clothes, looking every inch the perfect wife. The irony wasn't lost on me. Smells great, I said, kissing her cheek. She didn't flinch from my touch anymore. The guilt phase had passed. She'd become comfortable in her deception. We ate dinner and talked about baby names. I like something traditional, Michael for a boy. Emma for a girl, she suggested hopefully. Sure, whatever you think is best, I agreed, nodding along. She'd already started a Pinterest board for nursery ideas, showing me pictures of cribs and changing tables on her phone. We should convert the spare room, she proposed. I know you use it for storage, but we can clean it out. Sounds good, I replied neutrally. We moved to the couch for our Friday movie tradition. She picked a romantic comedy, curling against me with her feet tucked under a blanket. Her hand rested on her stomach, a new habit she'd developed in just 2 days. I wondered if she did the same thing when she was with Tyler. Did she tell him about the baby? Did he know he might be a father? At 7:45, the doorbell rang. Who could that be? Emily asked, frowning. I'll get it, I said, standing slowly. The process server was a thin man in his 40s, wearing a wrinkled suit and holding a manila envelope. He looked tired, like he'd done this 1,000 times before. Thompson residence? He asked professionally. Yes, I confirmed. I'm looking for Emily Thompson, he stated. Emily appeared behind me in the hallway. What's going on? She questioned nervously. The man looked past me. Emily Thompson? He verified, yes? Her voice had gone small, uncertain. He handed her the envelope. You've been served. Have a good evening, he said matter-of-factly, then turned and walked away. Emily stood there with the envelope in her trembling hands. She looked at me, then at the papers, then back at me. Mark, what is this? She asked, her voice shaking. Open it, I instructed, stepping back into the living room. She followed me, tearing open the envelope. I watched her face as she read the divorce petition. The color drained from her cheeks, her mouth opening slightly. The papers listed everything, the dates, the times, the locations. Linda's evidence was referenced in detail. 4 months of lies laid out in legal language. Mark, her voice cracked. This isn't... I can explain, she stammered. No, I cut her off, my voice flat and cold. You can't. The papers fell from her hands, scattering across the floor. She dropped to her knees, trying to gather them up, tears streaming down her face. It's not what you think, she pleaded desperately. Tyler means nothing to me. It just happened. I was lonely. You were always working. 4 months, Emily, I interrupted harshly. 4 months of being with him while I was working to pay for this house. For your car, for your yoga classes and your shopping trips. She was sobbing now, ugly tears that ruined her makeup. Please, Mark, please, she begged. The baby. Think about the baby. We'll establish paternity after it's born, I stated coldly. If it's mine, we'll work out custody. If it's Tyler's, I let the sentence hang. It's yours, she screamed desperately. I know it's yours. How? I challenged. How could you possibly know? You've been sleeping with both of us. She collapsed fully onto the floor, curling into herself. I'm sorry, she wailed. I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to happen. He paid attention to me. He made me feel wanted, and I didn't? I asked flatly. You were always tired, always working, she accused through her tears. We never did anything exciting anymore. So you decided to have intimacy, a personal trainer? I shot back. That was your solution? I'll end it, she promised frantically, looking up at me with red, swollen eyes. I'll never see him again. We can go to counseling. We can work through this. It's over, Emily, I declared with finality. You have 72 hours to get out of this house. Take your clothes, your personal items, nothing else. The house is in my name. The car's in my name. Your credit cards, canceled as of tonight. You can't do this! She struggled to her feet, anger flashing through the tears. I'm pregnant. You can't just throw me out. Watch me, I replied coldly. Tyler can take care of you now. Or Sarah, or your parents. I don't care where you go, but you won't stay here. She tried to approach me, reaching out, but I stepped back. Don't touch me, I warned. Don't ever touch me again. Her phone started ringing. Sarah's name on the screen. Of course Sarah knew. She'd been covering for Emily for months. Answer it, I commanded. Tell her you need a place to stay. Emily stood there, phone ringing in her hand, looking at me like she was seeing a stranger. Maybe she was. The Mark who would have forgiven her, who would have tried to work it out, he was gone. I'm going to a hotel, I announced, grabbing the bag I'd packed earlier and hidden in the coat closet. When I come back Monday, you better be gone. If you're not, I'll have the sheriff remove you. Mark, please. She started again. I walked out, closing the door on her sobs. As I drove away, I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no relief, no regret. Just cold, empty vindication. Emily was broken. But I wasn't done yet. Tyler thought he could walk away from this unscathed. He was wrong. I knew Tyler's schedule because Linda had documented it thoroughly. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, he worked until 10 p.m. at Elite Fitness. He always parked his red Mustang in the back lot and walked through the alley to reach the main street. The alley had no cameras. I'd checked. I called Dave first. We'd served together at a construction company before I went solo. Dave had done 2 tours in Afghanistan and came back different, harder, quieter, always ready for violence. When I told him what I needed, he just asked, when and where? Ricky was my second call. He'd been fired from 3 construction jobs for fighting, but he was loyal to people who treated him right. I'd hired him for under-the-table work when no one else would. Someone hurt you? Ricky asked when I explained. Someone destroyed my marriage, I answered. I'm in, he replied without hesitation. Tuesday night came cold and clear. We met 2 blocks from the gym at 9:30, dressed in dark clothes with ski masks in our pockets. I'd bought 3 burner phones from different stores, paying cash. No trail. Remember, I instructed them, we hurt him, but we don't kill him. I want him to remember this for the rest of his life. Dave nodded, pulling on leather gloves. ROE understood, he confirmed. We positioned ourselves in the alley. Dave near the parking lot entrance, Ricky by a dumpster midway through, me near the street exit. At 10:07, Tyler emerged from the gym's back door, gym bag over his shoulder, whistling some pop song. Dave moved first, smooth and silent, sweeping Tyler's legs. Tyler went down hard, his bag flying. Before he could cry out, Ricky was on him, slamming him face first into the brick wall. Blood exploded from Tyler's nose. I walked over slowly, pulling my mask up just enough for him to see my face in the dim light. Remember me? I asked calmly. Tyler's eyes went wide with recognition and terror. Oh, Look, man, I didn't know she was... He started to explain. Dave's fist connected with Tyler's ribs, cutting him off. The sound of breaking bone was oddly satisfying. You knew she was married? I stated coldly. You saw her ring. You met her at the gym when she was wearing her wedding ring. Please, Tyler gasped. I picked up the aluminum bat Ricky had brought. You f***ed my wife for 4 months. In hotels I paid for with money I earned. While I was working, you were in bed with her. She came on to me. Tyler screamed desperately. She said you were getting divorced. Lie, I said simply and brought the bat down on his left knee. The crack echoed off the alley walls. Tyler's scream was primal, animal. Dave covered Tyler's mouth with his gloved hand, muffling the sound. I brought the bat down on his other knee, then his left hand, the one he'd used to touch my wife. The bones shattered like kindling. "Stop!" Tyler whimpered when Dave removed his hand. "Please stop," he begged. "We're done when I say we're done," I replied coldly. Ricky kicked him in the ribs again and again. Tyler curled into a ball, sobbing, bleeding, broken. I crouched next to him. "You're going to tell the police you were mugged," I instructed clearly. "You didn't see faces." "You don't remember anything. If you mention my name, if you even think about telling anyone the truth, we'll come back. And next time we won't stop. Understand?" Tyler nodded frantically, tears and snot and blood covering his face. "Your phone," I said. Ricky found it in Tyler's pocket, handed it to me. I placed it just out of Tyler's reach. "You can call for help when we're gone. Should give you time to think about your life choices." We left him there, broken and bleeding. The walk back to our cars was silent. Dave and Ricky didn't ask questions or offer commentary. Some things didn't need words. I drove home, the house was dark, Emily's car gone. She'd actually left. I showered, washing away any trace of the evening, then burned my clothes in the backyard fire pit along with the burner phone. Tyler spent 4 days in the hospital. Both knees required surgery. His hand needed pins and reconstruction. 3 broken ribs, internal bruising, a concussion. He told the police he'd been mugged by 3 men. Didn't see faces. Couldn't remember details. The investigation went nowhere. He lost his job at Elite Fitness. Can't train clients when you can't demonstrate exercises. Word spread that he'd been sleeping with married women, that karma had caught up with him. His Instagram, once full of workout videos and motivational quotes, went dark. They both paid the price. Now it was time to see if I could live with what I'd become. 6 months later, my life has settled into something I recognize but don't quite trust. The divorce was final 3 months ago. Emily fought it at first, hired a lawyer with her parents' money, tried to claim emotional abuse and abandonment. But Linda's evidence was overwhelming, and Sawyer was merciless in court. The paternity test results came 2 weeks after the baby was born, a boy she named Michael. He wasn't mine. Tyler was the father. The judge actually laughed when that came up in court, a short bark of disbelief at Emily's audacity. She got nothing in the settlement? Nothing. Last I heard, she was working at a Target in Glen Burnie, living in a 1-bedroom apartment with the baby. Her parents help when they can, but they're on a fixed income. Tyler pays minimal child support from his disability checks. Turns out permanent knee damage limits your employment options. He moved back to Ohio to live with his parents, walking with a cane he'll need for the rest of his life. Sarah doesn't talk to Emily anymore. Funny how quick friends disappear when you're no longer useful to them. The house feels different now. I had the bedroom furniture replaced, painted the walls, even tore up the carpet and put in hardwood floors. It's like exorcising ghosts. Some nights, I still catch myself listening for the garage door, for Emily coming home from one of her errands. The silence is both peaceful and unsettling. Work has been my salvation. I hired 2 guys, expanded the service area, even got a contract with a property management company for regular maintenance. Thompson Repair Services has a professional website now, business cards, a wrapped truck with the logo. I'm making more money than ever, and it's all mine. I've been on a few dates. Nothing serious. There's a bartender at my regular spot who's made it clear she's interested. She's pretty, funny, doesn't seem to have any hidden agenda. But I can't pull the trigger. Trust, once shattered like that, doesn't rebuild easily. Sometimes, late at night with a beer in hand, I think about that night in the alley. I wonder if I went too far. Then I remember the 4 months of lies, the casual cruelty of her deception, the way she looked at Tyler like she used to look at me. The guilt fades quickly. My lawyer called last week. Emily had reached out, wanting to know if I'd reconsider if we could talk about reconciliation. Sawyer laughed as he told me like it was the best joke he'd heard all year. I told him to remind her that she has no legal right to contact me outside of matters involving the divorce settlement, which was already final. I'm 38 now. Not old, but not young either. I've got a house that's paid for in 5 years, a growing business, and a hard-earned understanding of what people are capable of when they think they won't get caught. I don't regret destroying them. They made their choices in those hotel rooms, in that alley. All I did was ensure those choices had permanent consequences. Emily wanted excitement, something different from her boring husband. Now she's got all the excitement of single motherhood and poverty. Tyler wanted to play with another man's wife. Now he gets to explain his limp for the rest of his life. Am I happy? No, not yet. Maybe not ever in the way I was before. But I'm free. Free from lies, from betrayal, from the suffocating weight of a marriage built on deception. And sometimes, freedom is the only revenge worth having. Sometimes it's enough. And that's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment below. Your support helps the algorithm push my content further. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me keep creating more stories for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.